Tonight on KGW News, the fiery explosions that shut down I-5 for 12 hours.
It was crazy. It just kept going and going and going.
Why investigators tonight have lingering questions. Then one of the buildings that bared the brunt of the 2020 protests 4 years on gets an upgrade. How the barricades are coming down and what's gone up in their place. Plus,
I wasn't even aware something like this could happen over a water bill.
KGW investigates how a Portland family got frozen out of their own bank account all over an unpaid bill. Then later, the world says goodbye to a legend as we remember the life of one of baseball's greatest, Willie Mays.
Command to dispatch, if you got ODOT handy, we got propane tanks exploding. They're going over on the other side of the freeway. We need that freeway closed now.
We begin at 11 at the big story of the day, and a trailer carrying 100 propane tanks that caught on fire on I-5 with crews forced to shut down the interstate for 12 hours. Tonight, traffic is moving smoothly once again, and thankfully, no one was hurt. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm David Molko. ODOT had to make some quick repairs to melting asphalt to get the road reopened just in time for the evening rush. Daisy Caballero walks us through a day that for many began with explosions and a rude awakening.
There definitely was some exploding canisters.
Dozens of propane tanks caught fire and exploded near the Swan Island exit on the northbound side of I-5 around 4:50 Tuesday morning.
Ooh.
Waking up neighbors near the area to their homes shaking.
It wasn't shaking like an earthquake, but it was a shake that woke me up.
Yeah, a little bit. The windows would rattle every time one of those propane tanks would go.
It was crazy. It just kept going and going and going. And all of our neighbors were up just outside looking.
ODOT quickly closed down the interstate in both directions as Portland fire crews rushed to put it out with tanks exploding into the southbound lanes.
So yeah, there was explosions occurring. Could be quite a significant danger to rescuers as well as spectators or observers on scene.
Rick Graves with Portland Fire tells KGW about 120 propane tanks caught fire and burned for about 30 minutes before they can put it out. It was a fire that was felt from afar by AJ Foshmark.
I kind of came out and checked it just to kind of look at the other end of the bridge, and I could feel the heat from there.
Several northbound lanes were significantly damaged as ODOT crews quickly started an emergency repair by grinding and paving the affected areas, which in turn brought unusual traffic into some neighborhoods and their morning commute.
So it probably took me, 20 extra minutes to get home this morning than it normally would have, which was a bummer, but, planned accordingly and made it happen.
Portland Fire says no injuries were reported and it's looking into the cause. But when they got to the scene, there was no vehicle or tractor attached to the trailer.
Just thankful it didn't spread. I'm thankful it happened, in June instead of August. Happens later in the summer. We might have had some, brush fires and stuff.
Now, the big question still remains, where is the person that was driving that trailer? Well, Portland police said that they are investigating and actively looking for that person, but that they don't believe that they intentionally set that trailer on fire. In North Portland, Daisy Caballero, KGW News.
Tonight, we are keeping an eye on yet another deadly police shooting, this time in the Dalles. That's where officers shot and killed a man this morning who they say stole a tow truck. After a short chase, police say the suspect rammed into a patrol car and then tried to run into other police vehicles. That's when authorities say 2 Wasco County Sheriff's deputies and a Dalles police officer opened fire.
The officers on scene feared for their safety and the safety of their colleagues on scene and made the decision to fire.
The suspect died in the hospital. No officers or deputies were hurt. Those that fired the shots are now on paid administrative leave. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, we found out a TriMet bus window was shattered by a rock today, not a bullet as some originally feared. A witness sent us these photos of the damage that happened while the bus was near Northeast 92nd and Halsey. Someone called 911 to report the window had been shot out, but TriMet says a rock did the damage, though it is not clear where the rock came from. No one was injured. Tonight, the city of Jervis is on track to recall its mayor and 3 other councilors. Early results show roughly 60% of ballots cast and counted so far have people saying yes to recall all 4. This push to recall city leaders began in February after council fired Jervis's police chief following an investigation into complaints that chief violated city harassment and discrimination policies. The mayor says her opponents in this effort have made false statements and that she's been harassed and cyberbullied for years. And the strike is on at 6 Providence hospitals in Oregon that include Providence St. Vincent and Milwaukee. Thousands of nurses hit the picket lines this morning and will continue to rally for the next 2 days. The Oregon Nurses Association says they want safe staffing levels, better benefits, and competitive wages. Providence says they put comprehensive packages on the table, but the union did not respond and instead voted to strike. Replacement workers are filling in to keep the hospitals running. In an update, crews have started dismantling one of the final remnants of the 2020 protest fencing that has surrounded downtown's federal courthouse for the last 4 years. Tonight, Alma McCarty looks at what is going up in its place.
In downtown Portland, fencing outside the federal courthouse comes down, piece by piece. Passers-by told us off camera this marked progress, a move that made them feel optimistic.
I think that's a really good thing that they're taking it down.
Isabella Shadburn, however, believes they should have never gone up. She took part in the social justice protests in 2020.
Overall, I think that the movement and what people were trying to do matters a lot more than, that stuff.
Federal officials reported $1.6 million in damages during the protests to the Marco Hatfield U.S. Courthouse. Security fencing here first came down in early 2021, but within days it went right back up when demonstrators broke more windows and set fires. This time around, new security measures are in place. Stainless steel airplane hangar-like doors installed on the west side of the building, which can be lowered to protect the front of it. Some view hardening these court facilities as a necessary step, while others find it unsettling.
Dystopian, yes. Feels very dystopian.
Next door to the federal courthouse, the Multnomah County Justice Center remains boarded up. As we reported earlier this year, there are plans underway to add metal screens to entry doors and bulletproof glass to windows there. Construction, set to begin in December, should wrap up in March 2025. David?
Yeah, changing downtown landscape. Thank you all. I appreciate that update. New tonight, the nation is mourning the loss of one of the greatest baseball players of all time, iconic Hall of Famer Willie Mays, who died Tuesday at the age of 93. NBC's Kurt Gregory takes a look at the impact he made both on and off the field.
Power, speed, and the smile of a champion. But perhaps the finest moment in Willie Mays' career came with his back turned to the camera. The Say Hey Kid was born in Westfield, Alabama in 1931. He began playing professional baseball at 16 and got the call to play in the major leagues for the New York Giants just 4 years later.
You can see that all the ingredients of being a star was there.
He won Rookie of the Year honors that season and the hearts of New York fans with his sensational play and sparkling personality. But when the Giants moved west to San Francisco in 1958, the flashy center fielder struggled to gain fan support, despite stellar performances on the field. He ultimately returned to New York, playing his last 2 seasons in a Mets uniform.
Willie, say goodbye to America. Thank you very much.
When Willie Mays ended his career in 1973, he had won 2 Most Valuable Player awards, 12 Gold Gloves, and was part of 24 All-Star games. In 1979, Mays took his place among the all-time greats in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And when the San Francisco Giants opened their new ballpark in 2000, Willie Mays was memorialized as the greatest player in the history of the franchise. Kurt Gregory, NBC News.
93 years old. Well, straight ahead on KGW News at 11, a KGW investigation into an unpaid water bill one couple says ended up squeezing them dry. Plus, Oregon athletes take their marks for a spot to compete on the Olympic stage. The local swimmer that is now one step closer to Paris.
I'm Matt Safino. We're a step closer to 90-degree weather, but we got a couple steps before we get there. Look at the clouds clearing today. I'll explain that process there. Coming up, the warm-up gets hot for a little bit and then the cool down.